guys, thank you for stopping by. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. And I hope you enjoyed this interview. All right, we have Mr. Olusoji Oluwole, who is the National President, Association of Senior Staff of Banks, Insurance, and Financial Institutions. Mr. Oluwole, good to have you join us on the program. We're having a little bit of hiccup earlier. Welcome and welcome.
Good morning, Nancy. Good to see you again.
Good morning. Now, let's get started. And I think my first question is, do you think we are back to the era of bank failures?
I will not say so exactly, but we also need to understand that we're in an environment where anything could happen anytime. So if we look at other industries beyond the banking industry, for example, in the last 1 year, we see that the challenges in the economy have affected the profitability of some institutions. And I will not say that all banks are totally immune from such situations, because there may be factors that are beyond the control of the institution sometimes that would affect their stability. But right now, as it were, I will not say so.
So you're saying that we're not back to the era of bank failures. Okay? What's the reaction of your association to this? And that's one. And number two, what do you know about Heritage Bank's history as the Heritage Bank's journey to this moment?
Yeah, well, we know the history of Heritage Bank itself, taking on the license of the defunct Societe Generale Bank back in those days, and then the subsequent acquisition of two other banks along the line. And at the time of those acquisitions of those banks from the CBN through AMCON, they were declared to be sound enough to continue business. However, from the information that has started filtering out, it seems as if the troubles of Heritage Bank may have started about 4 or 5 years ago. For us as an association, I think we raised alarm sometime last year when suddenly, without any warning, without notice, without any crime being committed, over 60 of our members were suddenly asked to go without adequate benefits as prescribed in the Labor Act, in our Section 20 of the Labor Act, and of course ILO Convention 158 that prescribes the compensation that needs to be given to employees when they are asked to go under certain factors. Because the excuse the bank gave at that time was that they were restructuring. And under such circumstances, it's treated as redundancy. And we indeed took them on. We tried to engage them. The Honorable Minister of Labor and Employment took interest in the matter. Conversations started. We had to have a press conference to alert the nation and Nigerians on what was going on, because we found it strange that if a restructuring was going on and people were asked to go and an organization claims they could not pay, then obviously something was wrong. The conversations went on until the bank itself took actions that truncated those discussions. You will also recall that earlier on this year, the members of Nubife also went and picketed the bank under the same complaints. And I'll take us back a little bit in history as well. I think it was sometime in 2021 that the staff of the bank themselves in Abuja went to visit the home of a prominent politician who was listed as one of the major debtors to the bank. So over the years, all these alarms have been raised. And we know that our members who are there were working as much as possible to ensure that what happened on Monday didn't come to pass.
So how are members of your organization taking it? And have you gotten any kind of information as to what will happen to members of your organization who are staff of now the defunct Heritage Bank?
Well, they're obviously taking it very badly, and it's quite unfortunate that they've been caught in this web. Of course, we know that the acts that set up the BOFIA Act and the NDIC Act prescribe actions that are supposed to be taken under this kind of circumstance. So what it means right now is that our members who are still staff in that organization have been left with nothing. They have not been advised of being paid. And you know, under the NDIC Act, the first person or the first set of people who will receive any form of compensation are, of course, the depositors, followed by probably the creditors, and then they move on to shareholders, they move on to investors before they get to staff. So they are at the very bottom of the line. Again, unfortunately, the NDIC Act does not ensure the deposits of these are members as well. So what it means also is that while they are locked out of any form of compensation at this point in time, they also do not have access to their funds in the bank. So it's a very, very disturbing situation for them right now. We're engaging, and anytime from now, ASBIFI is going to make a public statement on it.
What do you mean that their own money is in the bank? Do you mean as per their staff, they also have deposits in the bank? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, their salary is paid in the bank. If they had investments or they had income outside their salaries that they put in the bank, I mean, it is expected that every bank staff should keep their money in their bank in order to boost the...
That means they're also depositors. The NDIC is also supposed to pay them at least this maximum of 5 million naira.
So interestingly, the NDIC Act precludes staff and directors from being insured.
Yeah, insured, yes, insured. Yeah. Oh, yes, I get you now. I get you now. Now, what would you say, because for me, NDIC, we're in the month of June now, NDIC in the month of May raised the limit from 500,000 naira to 5 million naira. I hope you remember that, the news, yes, when it came out last month. Do you think that NDIC foresaw this, as it were? Because I also discussed this here on the show last month when NDIC raised the insured limit from 500,000, which was a bizarre figure coming from a system, a financial system now that is bigger than the consolidation era of 2005 to 5 million. So do you think that the NDIC saw this coming, and perhaps was also advised to raise insured limits to 5 million naira? That's one part of the question. The second part of the question now is for a Cardoso-led central bank to be able to allow Heritage Bank to fail. I've also heard a lot of people say, okay, there are other options in terms of perhaps Heritage Bank would have been bought, but who will buy a bad market? Because from what you have said, the history has been there from Societe Generale to, I think, buying of Spring Bank, which was also distressed, and I think Enterprise Bank, if I'm not mistaken, as at that time, you know, so distressed bank buying distressed bank, their non-performing loans about over 80%, about 81%. That means for perhaps every 1,000 naira that Heritage Bank has, 812 naira was bad in terms of non-performing loans. So you would say, so to speak, very unhealthy. So what would you say about a Cardoso-led central bank that is willing to have a bank to fail? You know, unlike the past era where we said, okay, these banks are too big to fail. There was a creation of AMCON during Sanusi's time, and went on to Emefiele that saw, you know, intervention in some other banks that were not doing too well.
Right. So I'll take your first question. The issue of increase in the insured limit. I want to believe that what NDIC has done is to look at the value of money. There was a time in the past where the insured value was just 50,000 naira. And if you look at it at that time, 50,000 naira was quite a lot of money in those days. We moved from 50,000 naira, we moved to 500,000, and then we moved to 5 million. So I believe that that action was basically to meet the current value of money.
They would have met it a long time ago now, because this 500,000 naira was a long time, or the transition from 500,000 to 5 million was a long time coming.
Yeah, I mean, let's look at it also from the point of view that the same regulators have also come out to increase the paid up capital of banks. So these are things that we need to look at basically within the economy itself. But I do not want to agree or believe that it's because of possible failures that they did that. I believe they did it just to meet the current trends of times. Then if we go on to your second question, um, buying a distressed bank does not necessarily mean that there is a problem. I mean, we've had situations where other banks have done that for strategic reasons, some because of the volume of their customers, some because of their spread. But
Yeah.
before you take on a bank under such circumstance, it's probably due to the fact that there is something positive that you have seen in that regard that has led you to do it. And numbers would have been crunched, investigations would have taken place, due diligence is expected to have been carried out before those actions were taken. So let us assume, for the purpose of this discussion, that all those things were done. Now, the question will be, when did things start going wrong? Is it because of inherited debts or debts that were incurred that have gone bad after those institutions were acquired by Heritage Bank? Now, perhaps when this problem started, which was pre-Cardoso era, perhaps, just perhaps, the CBN and the NDIC may have been able to take action. We have seen situations in the past where licenses were revoked and immediately bridge banks were created to transit into a new organization. So the license was revoked, liquidation was put in process, and a bridge bank was put there. So that way, customers' deposits were guaranteed, employment was assured, and they were able to continue like that. Of course, there
Exactly.
would have been
That is the
cases of
option that people were
nationalization.
actually expecting. That is the option that people were expecting, that perhaps a bridge bank process, which the NDIC also would be part of, should have been the option, which we were historically also used to, apart from those days that we had a lot of bank failures. The other option also is that perhaps a Cardoso is moving on a trajectory of allowing banks to just be organic, let the NDIC do its job, instead of the bridge bank system.
Well, the NDIC, just like the CBN, is supposed to be a watchdog. So it is expected that the moment the red flag comes up, you do not wait to take the necessary action, because there are times when it may just be a case of the management of the organization. Sometimes management just need help, because we're talking of, I think, close to 90% of bad loans. These are loans that are not given to ghosts. They are loans that are given to businesses in Nigeria, to Nigerians who are in Nigeria and who are moving around the country. So while the license of the bank is being revoked, while liquidation is going on, we need to also ask what is happening to these same people who have led the bank to the position that it is today. That is what we have not heard yet. And I think it will do well for the nation for these things to come out in the open, just like AMCON came and released the names of debtors of banks when they started buying off those debts. Because it is time to start naming these people and to know what has happened exactly in this institution.
Okay. Would this move build confidence in the banking sector? And would it provide confidence to depositors? There are two questions in one. Yes. Would this move build confidence in the banking sector? And would it provide also confidence for depositors, bank depositors?
I would say yes to both. You will notice that what NDIC said immediately was that within the next 1 week, they are going to start paying depositors of those banks. So that gives some kind of comfort. Unlike past eras where people had to wait for 1, 2, 3 years before they got their funds back. Now they're saying that we're going to make that move immediately, and once they are verified. In fact, I think I read a report that you may not even need to proceed to the bank to present any document, especially for individual account holders, that BVN alone is enough to identify your other account in other banks. So they'll just simply move the funds to your bank account, wherever, or your other bank account, wherever it is domiciled.
Mm. What does this move say for the recapitalization plans that would that's ongoing now, from now till 2026 of March? Does it in any way, impact it, or what are you guys in the banking sector talking about regarding recapitalization?
Well, the focus is still on plans have already been submitted to the CBN, and this is the time when results are coming out. AGMs are holding, shareholders are taking decisions at those AGMs, and we've been seeing those announcements from different financial institutions, different banks by now. And of course, we're in June now. Q1 results have come out. By the end of this month, we'll be preparing to receive Q2 results. And of course, there will be audited results approved by the central bank themselves. So I do not think that this singular event will have any major impact on the recapitalization process.
Okay. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. Thank you for watching. In case this is your first time watching us, thank you. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel, drop your comments as well as like, and most of all, share our content.